Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on Sunday evening. I know it's very nice of you to take time out of your schedule. I know everybody's busy, and Sundays are such a busy day, family day. I know here in Dallas we had a kind of a great day, still raining, but the sun actually did come out. So I'm sure a lot of people got a lot of stuff done. So we're so glad that you decided to take the time to join us. We truly believe that this purge call is the silver bullet in your business. We want to make sure that you take this 15, 20, 30 minutes a day to do exactly what you need to do to grow your business. And what we're going to do is we're going to plan out your week for you. We're going to show you how to make sure you know every day when you get up exactly what you need to do. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our host. If you're not familiar with this man, he is an EC in our business. He's been on Success from Home magazine. He's earned his way into a 5-star trip. He is a businessman in his own right. He's had several businesses, restaurants, a graphic design business. He's an executive consultant in Ambit. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce my dear friend and mentor, Mr. Richard Laidler. Richard, are you there?
I'm here. How are you, my lovely?
I'm lovely.
Yes. And what I'm pleased to say is you don't have the allergies this Sunday. Last Sunday you were suffering a little bit. I was getting a little bit paranoid that you were having an allergic reaction to me. But this week you seem to be okay.
I'm fine, you little sausage.
Did you just call me a little sausage?
I did. And I'm going to sit my feet just like you.
I love it. I'm telling you, if you manage to actually get yourself, the more English you make yourself, the better you'll do in Ambit. These Americans, they love this English accent. They believe everything I say, even though I don't know what I'm talking about. But as ever, Michelle, thank you so much for emceeing the call. You always do such a wonderful job. I know a lot of people, as they're calling in, think, oh, there's Michelle, she's always there, blah, blah, blah. It's a real commitment for Michelle to do that, and I really appreciate the effort. She does a great job of making sure you guys are all kind of informed on what the call's all about. But I always take a little bit of time just to kind of give you guys some heads up, because we always have new people on the call. I know we've got some new people. I know there's someone new from my team. Fred, hi, how are you? I know you're on the call, so thanks for getting on the call. And basically, not only thanks, but congratulations. It's all about taking that 1 hour out on a Sunday to make it the best hour of your week, because if you prepare properly, your Ambit week will happen. Whether it's good or bad is down to, obviously, the way you present, the way you invite, and this type of thing. But at the end of the day, we still want it to happen. We still want you to be making calls. We still want you to be getting the opportunity to show people the business. But this weekend's been a pretty big, hot weekend for us in DFW. We've had a big training here called Velocity. It was the Ambit Energy Workshop. There are a lot of yellow jackets there. They had number 5, I think it's number 5 income earners, national consultants, Chris and Debbie Atkinson. EC coach Alan Johnson was there. The recent or the current Thompson Leadership Award winner, EC Kirk Horan. National consultants Richard and Miriam Wado, they Skyped in from Osaka in Japan, and it was apparently a really hot training. And I'm sure for all of us that went, it was a wonderful event. I'm sure you learned lots of stuff. And the reason why I bring that up is to kind of show how this call fits in to those trainings. Those trainings happen every couple of months, every 3 months, every 4 months. And sometimes, especially for people who are new in the business, that's kind of a bit of a gap. If we have one now here in March and the next one isn't until, say, June or July, that's a big gap for people. And so the reason why I started this call now, over 2 years ago now, was basically to kind of be the stepping stone between each of the trainings, to give you that constant reminder of what you need to be doing every week. Because again, at these trainings, you'll hear the most incredible stories and the most incredible motivation. But this call is about you knowing what to do tomorrow. Not in general, but tomorrow. What you're going to do today, so that you don't start your week tomorrow with, I really should do something in my Ambit business this week. I'm assuming that everyone is on this call because they want to have a successful Ambit business. I know I am. I mean, that's the point. That's the reason why we do this. But at the end of the day, we've got to show up to work. And so that's what this is all about, is to make sure that we take an hour to plan our week. And we're going to take an hour out today. I've spoken to my the various folks in my team that have committed to me that they want to be an EC by a certain period of time. And for those people who will come to me, and for those of you who are SCs trying to get to EC and ECs trying to get to national, I recommend you go into your team and you find those people who want to run with you to get to that position, to get you promoted, and give them special attention. Now, everybody in your team is going to get your attention who wants to run. Everybody who wants to build a business needs to be on the call. Hey, Michelle, is the call muted? I can hear quite a bit of noise going on in the background. If you could just check that for me, that would be great. But what I'm suggesting, okay, maybe it's you, Michelle. Shush. So if you are an SC trying to get to EC or an EC trying to get to NC, go search in your team and find the people who want to work. I will go to individuals in my EC code and say, look, I'm looking for 5 people that I'm going to work with on a regular daily basis to help you get to EC. And that means they're going to have an EC working with them all the way till they get to SC. That's a very special, very exclusive honor to have someone doing that with you. And like for you, for example, Warren and Patrice, you just turned to SC. So you now need to find 5 people in your SC code that want to run with you to the to SC to get you guys promoted to EC. So as you bring people on, ask them the question, are you interested in fast-tracking to SC? Because Patrice and I want to get to EC. That's our goal. That's what we want to do. This green pin is great, but we want a black pin. And when you sit down and ask someone to do that and they say, yes, I do, then you can actually ask something from them. You can say, well, what I need to do is, for example, what I do with mine is I do at least the PURGE system, which is we get our 10 names on Sunday from our written list. We do 2 calls a day and 1 accountability call a day, 1 business presentation, and at least 1 team call, ideally this PURGE call. Because you've said, look, I need someone to work with. I'm going to commit my time to you. And if they say, yes, I want that, then it's fair exchange. If they're going to do that, if you're going to do that for them, then they need to do at least the PURGE system with you with that week. And if they want to do more, that's fine, but at least the PURGE system. And if they don't keep up, now this isn't a mean thing, but I will have to go and find someone in my team who does want to do it. I can't be working with someone who I'm dragging to EC. I basically want to run alongside them to EC. And you know what's really interesting, and Warren and Patrice, this is specifically for you and for anybody who's trying to promote to the next level, there's a feeling of loss that they will have if they don't do what they need to do to do what they committed to do with you. And you say, well, look, if you can't keep up and you can't want to do it, that's perfectly fine. It's your business. I'm not your boss. But I need to run with someone who's going to run with me. And if there's a chance of loss, that's almost like the same chance of loss of your job. And I think that's actually not a bad thing to actually have a little bit of, it's accountability. It's putting some accountability in there. So that's what I do in my team, and I actually use this PURGE call. I don't want to call it a PURGE system because it's just the ambit system. It's just a means of being able to make sure that you plug into to doing something every day. We're just making sure that you have a daily and a weekly method of operation to do the ambit system. And so that's a really kind of useful thing that I do in my team. So for all of you who are, as I say, looking to promote, dig down and find out who wants to run with you to help you get to your new position, and tell them what your goal is. You know, Warren, you need to be saying to your new people, we are SC right now, and to get to EC, we need 5 SCs to do that. If you are, even if you're an RC, you can say, well, look, you don't actually have to have, 3 RCs in your business. You actually just need 18 people in your business to get from RC to SC. But why not say, look, we're looking for 3 people who want to get to RC really quickly in our business. Are you interested? If not, that's perfectly fine. We'll still be there to support you in this type of thing. But we're going to work with 3 people in our business specifically to get them to fast track to RC. And that's a real honor. and it's something that they need to live up to make sure that you continue to work with them. So there's just an interesting mindset. It's no different than the AMBIT system that we do all the time. It's just a mindset of you as a leader to help them get to where they want to, and it builds in some accountability. You know, there are some expectations there because you're promising to give them your time every day. And so for that, they need to, you know, reciprocate and do what they need to do. So with that being said, where are we now? We're 8:10. We're on this is our second week with my special guest, or as we affectionately call him, our victim. And it is very much a kind word that we use. And basically what I do is I work with a particular consultant, usually not my team. I would say 95% of the time it's not my team. And we work together. We started last Sunday, and I worked with Heather to, first of all, I confirmed that she had a written list. So for all of you that are brand new, you need to work with your sponsor or your upline. Fred, for you, in my team, you'll be working either with Javier or myself to help you build a written list for yourself. And then we have some little tips and tricks how to prioritize that team so all the good people get to the top. It's called the Erica system, but I don't want to get into that on this particular call, but it is on a recording on the EC Riders Facebook page. So make sure you're a member of the EC Riders Facebook page. That's E for executive, C for consultant, and then Riders, R-I-D-E-R-S, EC Riders Facebook page. It's a play on the words for the old movie, 1969 movie, Easy Rider, and it's basically just about a freedom on the highway. It's kind of a nice little analogy for us. So we've got our written list. We've scored it, and we've kind of given some priority using that Erica system, which, as I say, is on a recording on the Facebook page. Then we take the top 10 names, because the way when we sort it, the names rise to the top. We take those top 10 names and we work together, and this is what Heather and I did last Sunday. We worked together to work out the perfect invite for each individual person. Some leaders out there are some ECs out there that I highly respect, and they'll have one or two invites that they do for everybody. And that's fine, and that works for them. That's not how I do things in the way I build my business. And I offer to you guys who are listening in, if there are invites that you prefer, over and above the ones that I do, that's perfectly fine. There are some wonderful trainings on YouTube of people doing various invites. I find our invites are very successful. I find that everybody who works with me for the week has the most successful AMBIT week that they ever have. So that would be an indication that the invites are pretty good. So what we've done is we've got our written list. We've scored it using the Erica system. The top 10 rose to the top. We take those top 10 names and we put an invite together based on 6 guidelines, which if you want to know what those guidelines are, listen to last week's recording with Heather. We went through it on that particular call. It's on the EC Riders Facebook page. Listening to that on the way into work, you can be listening to my lovely English dulcet tones. Turn off the radio, turn off the news, whatever. Listen to lovely English Richard talking to you about how to invite people to look at your business. So we've got our written list. We've got our Erica system. We've got the top 10 risen to the top. We've now prepared invites for each of those people. And then what Heather did during the week was she made 2 invites from those 10 names on Monday, 2 on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday, 2 on Thursday, 2 on Friday. And then she would call into me at the end of the day, and we'd talk about how the calls went. And so that's basically how this whole business works. You can build a very successful business with a very part-time effort. That effort is about 30 to 60 minutes a day. Okay, because you've prepared your list, you've got you've scored them using the Erica system, you've got your top 10 names, you've done your invites. That should take you about an hour on Sunday, and that's what we do on this call. We did that last Sunday. Your calls themselves are probably going to be 10 minutes a day, maybe a little bit longer if you can't get through to people and you get through to voicemails and stuff. The accountability call at the end of the day should be about 10 minutes. Hours go on longer than that because we've got training opportunities for those who are listening to the recordings, but they should be about 10 minutes. And so your AMBIT business is, as you hear Richard and Mary Amuedo, national consultant Brian McClure, talk about 30 to 60 minutes a day. That's what it means. That's when they say persistent and consistent effort over time, 30 to 60 minutes a day. What I just explained to you about the written list and the 2 calls a day, that's how it works. That's what it means. If you look it up in the dictionary, that's what you'll see, and you'll see my lovely smiling face that you're saying that's what you're supposed to be doing for your ambit business. And if you do that, and I discussed the formula for this on last week's call, you will be EC, Executive Consultant, the position that I'm at right now, in approximately 15 to 18 months. And an EC position that you've built correctly is usually financial freedom. Financial freedom is with all of your, you've been able to quit your job, which I know I've been talking to Heather about all week, and she always gets excited when I say that. She says, oh, great, I could quit my job really in a year to 2 years? Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, but you have the financial freedom to go along with it. So that means your bills are paid every week because of people are turning their lights on and saving money with Ambit Energy. So it's a true formula, and I mentioned that in my text invite for everybody. It's a formula. 2 calls a day, 1 accountability call a day, 5 days a week. You can even take the weekends off. And you will get to EC in 15 to 18 months. If you do more than that, you'll get there quicker. And and the reason why I can say that is because it's pure math. I've taken all of the odds and the averages that I've done over the past 2 years on this purge call of different people, male, female, old, young, black, white, short, fat, ugly, all over the place, all different types of people. And that's where the numbers average out to. So it's pure formula. It's not an opinion. Okay, now I'm off my soapbox. Let's get on with some work. It is now 8:16, and we're going to bring on our special guest. We've had a fantastic week together. As Michelle was saying prior to this call, the last Sunday's call was recorded, so if you didn't hear the call last Sunday, go back and have a listen to that. It was a great call. And then we did all week, we've been having accountability calls, Monday through Friday. Some of them we didn't make on the exact day. We just did it the next morning because we were both busy, and that's okay. And all of those calls are recorded as well. And I would say actually, and Heather, you probably would agree with this, that the accountability calls during the week are probably even more valuable because they're real live situations. I called this guy. He was upset. How do I deal with it? I called this girl. She was awesome. And, how do I deal with this? It's all. Okay, sorry, someone who's trying to call in. And so those accountability calls during the week are fantastic training opportunities. Have a listen to them. They're really, really cool. But for right now, I'm going to bring marketing consultant Heather Belle onto the line. Are you there, my lovely?
I'm here.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. Exhausted.
Exhausted? Oh, I know you've had quite a week, so yes, I understand. But how's your weekend been? Been okay? You been busy this weekend?
Yeah, great. Yesterday was great. The training was, I was there at the training all day, and it was awesome, of course, and learned lots.
Yeah.
Met Kirk Moran, got his number.
Fantastic. That's a number to have. That's a three-way call guy to have in your business.
Yeah.
Kirk was originally a fireman, right, and public servant fireman, and now has been able to return from the business, from his being a fireman.
I asked him
Fantastic.
if he a three-way. I asked him if I could use him for a three-way, that I may have some contacts up in New York. So he was great, and I said I'm a nurse, and he said I love nurses.
Well, I think we all love nurses, and, too often the soldiers are the only one who gets thanks for their service. And, I think obviously the public servants of nurses and firemen and policemen, they need to be thanked for their service too. So thank you for your service. I think, you guys are forgotten way too easily. But actually there's a little bit of a coaching opportunity in there. The fact that you were at the training, and so again, for those who are listening in, we have these trainings. Keep an eye on the Facebook pages to find out when the trainings are. They're wonderful. They're like a few hours. It's very, very good value. They're usually $30, so it works out like $4 an hour for the most incredible training. But the great thing about those trainings is you get to meet the yellow jacket wearers, and they're the people who've made $1 million in Ambit, and you get to meet the ECs and the NCs. They're the high-ranking folks. And they'll give you their business card, and they will be there and available to help you with three-way calls. As Heather was just saying, she has some friends and relatives up in New York. Kirk Moran is up there. He won the Thompson Leadership Award at the big Ambition event that happened last September last year. And what a great person to have. You know, a fireman who spent his whole life, you know, working as a public servant as a fireman is now able to retire with a yellow jacket, made $1 million from Ambit, part-time alongside being a fireman. How fantastic is that for a three-way call? So good for you for getting this card, lovely. That was great.
Yes, there were, you know, it was back, I think it was at the training in Tyler I went to a few weeks back that somebody said, it may have been Lynn Wynn. She said, you know, get with people, get your picture taken with them, and then get their number and text them your picture together so they will remember who you are. That way when you're doing a three-way call, like they'll remember who you are. So that's what I've been doing. So Chad Crenshaw, he was there. I'd already gotten his number. Mm-hmm. And he was great. Last Sunday before I got on your call, I texted him and let him know I was going to be on. And he was on listening, and he listened, and afterwards he commented. And saw him yesterday. It was great. He had a great question for Coach and Kirk afterwards. They had a question-answer session. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's just, you know, to me, training is, there's just so much to learn. You know, it was funny. Last night when I got home after all the training, I asked my husband, I said, hey, you want to go up to the restaurant here and get something to eat? So he said, sure. So we were on our way there, and he said, so what'd you do all day today? And I said, Ambit training. He said, I thought you already knew everything there was to know. You know, it's like, okay. He said, don't you just like sell electricity?
Isn't that funny? I mean, he's right.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone says, you know, what do we do in Ambit? Well, we help people save money in an electricity bill, and then we find other people who want to find people who want to save money in an electricity bill. I mean, it does sound very simple, but the Ambit system, and the Ambit system is very simple, but it does require that we kind of unlearn some things in order to learn some new things. And the Ambit system works 100%. I'm a big advocate for the Ambit system, and that's all that they train at these big deals. And you know, and I've been to, I don't know, I must have been to, it's got to have been 70, 80 trainings over the time that I've been in the business. And each time I'll always learn something new. I'll meet someone new, or I'll be there for someone to meet because they needed, you know, to meet me for whatever reason. You know, maybe they needed to find someone who was a restaurant owner or a business owner, and they're great. They really are great to get to. But let's get on with the call so that we can make sure that we get all the information to the folks who are listening in. Okay, so what we're doing this time, this is our second week together. As I said last week, what we did was we prepared Heather's week. We got her written list, we scored it, we got the top 10 names, and we created invites for Heather to use for people during the week. And we've done that. That's what we've done this week, and we had a great week, and we're going to cover that in a second. But the reason why I get my guest / victim on for the second Sunday is because what you need to do with if you're an accountability partner, with your person who you've worked with, is to debrief on that week. Go through that week and make sure that the people who said yes, the people who start right, get them plugged into the system correctly, get them on this call, get them to a training as quick as you can, get them to sign up themselves for electricity, all of that type of thing. The yeses, make sure you get the yeses plugged in. The no's we're just going to put onto a drip list because there are very, very, very few who are truly a no. In most cases, there are not yet. And so what we do is we put the no's onto a drip list that we're going to give them a call back in 3 to 6 months, depending on what feels relevant at the time. And on some of the calls, I train how to call back people that have looked at the business 6 months ago. And the maybes, we want to get them to a yes or a no decision, not because we're trying to rush anybody, but we want to make sure that we have purged our list. And that's why the call is called the Purge Call, because we want to make sure that next week Heather has a nice, clean, clear, crisp piece of paper with 10 new names that she's prepared invites for, that she can do 2 calls on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and an accountability call with whoever she has chosen to become her accountability partner, as we won't be working together next week. But that's why we do this second Sunday to teach you how to make sure that you purge that list. Because let me tell you, there are many, many people out there as Ambit consultants who are hanging on to the same names of prospects who said they would join. They'd be so good at this business, and they said they would. They said they'd come to a business presentation. They hold on to those names for weeks and weeks and weeks. And we want to make sure that that doesn't happen on this. So we purge, if someone says, is constantly trying to avoid your calls and this type of thing, we will purge them, and they'll go onto the drip list, and they'll get a call back if they haven't seen the business yet in 2 or 3 months. But we do not want to be carrying on names over and over and over and over again. Now, if there are people that we spoke to last week that need to get a second look, or you made an appointment last week, obviously, for people to go and see this week, obviously that's, people that are going to carry on to the following, that's fine. But we're talking about making sure that we're constantly bringing 10 new, fresh names in a week, and that's the 30 to 60 minutes a day. It's not too much to ask. Again, if you do that for 15 months, you'll get to EC and financial freedom to be able to quit your job in 15 months. It's worth it. So, with that being said, Heather, why don't we just kind of go through who you spoke to this week? We don't need to go necessarily into the invite, but how you invited them. Like say, well, I gave him a direct invite. I just wanted to basically ask him, to have a look at what we're doing. And if the opportunity arises and we need to go into how you invited it, we'll invite them. We'll go into that in a second. But just kind of summarize your week kind of chronologically if you can, and so we can see how that went.
Okay. So Steve was at the top of my list. I got in touch with his wife, and we've made an appointment for the 22nd.
Okay.
So
and that was a direct invite, wasn't it? You just kind of came straight out and asked him to join. Okay. Oh, to look. Sorry, not to join. To look.
To look.
So that's 100% success. Good job.
Okay. Pamela, she was kind of a two-part thing. So we've got an appointment for our first date on the 14th. Right. So we've got, so I haven't, I'm not going to show her the business on that date. We'll probably meet up, a week after that, and just the two of us. That's my plan.
So just as a reminder for that, in Pam's particular case, Heather hadn't seen Pam for quite a long time, and rather than just call someone you haven't seen for a few years, what we do on this particular call is we'll split up the invite into two. So the first get-together is just a nice, friendly get-together. It's just a catch-up on what's going on, and it's genuine, But during those calls, if you're hearing it, or during that meeting, if you're hearing any pain, you just might make a mental note of it, because either at the very end of that meeting or probably in the next day or two, we're going to make an invite based upon that first meeting for a second meeting, and this one's going to have a look at the Ambit business. So that's the reason why Heather was talking about a two-part invite for Pam. Okay, so next.
I'm sorry, I don't want to correct you, Richard.
No problem.
Pamela was the two-part because, she's a new first person that I just know.
That's
you got her mixed up with Tammy.
That's right. But it is a similar process, right? It was just someone who was brand new, wanted to get to know her first, right? Yeah. That's right. I remember now. But it's a similar deal that we take the time and the patience to get to know them, meet them first, find out where the pain is, if it's relevant, and then give them an invite afterwards. You're correct. I'm sorry I'd forgotten about that one. You're right.
Okay. So then Trixie,
I stand corrected.
Sorry. Trixie,
It's fine. Yes, go ahead.
I've never gotten in touch with Trixie. I cannot. I don't have her number. I've messaged her. She's not messaged me back. And I've asked a friend for her phone number, but she doesn't want to give it to me without her permission, which I think is crazy. But anyway, so I'm just going to move on with that.
Exactly. And put her onto your drip list and give her for a call back in a couple of months or something.
Okay. Tammy,
in the meantime, you can be looking for a number, by the way.
Yeah.
You can, okay. All right, next.
Tammy was a friend I hadn't seen in a long time. And so the plan was we were going to meet up tonight, and I was going to just catch up and then show her the business. So that's what happened. We had a date for 6, and so we kind of caught up for 30 minutes, and I had told her up front, there's something I'm doing. I want to let you know about it. So nearing the, second half of our meeting, I just dove into it and said, look, I asked her to watch the video. So she did, and very intrigued. And so, we didn't have a lot of time. We had to get going. So she's going to show it to her husband. And I sent her home with a magazine. And before I did, I went through it and I pointed out to people. I said, I was at a training all day yesterday. I met this guy, Kirk Horan. He's a fireman. And, he's retired now from that. And I showed Kristen Debbie's on the cover. And I said, Debbie was an ER nurse, and she retired from her job in something like 9 months. And Tammy and I used to work the ER together, so she can relate to that. And I pointed to Alan Johnson and said, he's in Tyler. I know him. And so I just pointed out different people that I know that are, that I communicate with. And so she was quite intrigued by that, and it's going to take a really good look at it.
Okay, just a couple of quick points on that. You got together, and it was a social get-together, but you had in the invite said there is something I want to show you, and that is very, very important. We don't ever want to ambush anyone. We don't ever want to get together for coffee with someone and pull out our briefcase and start showing the business without giving them any kind of heads up. Either do one of two things, which is exactly what Heather did in this particular case. She picked one of them, which is, I want to get together, catch up on some coffee, but there's also something I'd like to show you that I'm doing, which is great because you've been honest and upfront, or you can do the two-part, whatever feels most appropriate for you at the time. But in that particular case, you met up, you had coffee, you showed her the business, and that then goes beyond what we do on this Purge call. When it gets into the level of presentation and three-way calls and this type of thing, we try to steer away from that on this call because that's usually what's covered at the big trainings. But it sounds like you did a perfect job for that as well. That's great. A second look sounds like it would be a good idea. I definitely, in order to keep momentum, would invite her to a business presentation for a second look. I'm not sure where she is, but either the one on Tuesday night or the one on Thursday night in Dallas. I would definitely try to get her to one of those, and her husband this time as well if she wants him to see it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was good. And I'm glad we had, like you said earlier, Richard, the conversations we've had through the week are, that's what helped me more than anything. Your input. Sorry. And just don't do it this way. We should do it that way.
Right. Yeah, absolutely, and that's again the purpose of the accountability call that you do with your upline, crossline, or whatever. And if you're doing an accountability call with someone who is, just another MC like you're an RC and inexperienced in the business, you can always still do your accountability calls with them because the purpose of the accountability call is just to make sure you get it done. If there's any requirement for any training or mentorship, then pull in your SC or your EC into your accountability call to help guide if there's anything that's a little bit difficult or you can't work out what to do. So, but yeah, that's perfect. That's great. Good job on that, Heather. So who we got next?
Okay, Jim. I actually found out that he's actually got an office in my little town where I live. So that's good. So which is great because I can stop, and so I'm going to stop and see him tomorrow morning on my way to work because it was going to be difficult otherwise to, get together. So I've got an appointment with him for 8 in the morning.
Nice. Good job.
And then there's David.
Hold on one second. Let's go back to Jim. Wasn't Jim on your chicken list?
No.
It wasn't Jim. Oh. Okay, my apologies. I misremembered. Okay, no worries.
Well, maybe he was. I mean, everybody was on my chicken list. He just wasn't.
Oh, my God, isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? That is awesome. Well, you know what? I was having a chat with a really, really special friend of mine today, and we were having a great conversation, way too long. But it was too long in a good way. But we talked about how valuable being vulnerable and being authentic is, instead of trying to be cool and always be right and stuff like that. When you're vulnerable like you just were just then, say, well, everybody is on my chicken list. I think everybody who's on this call listening in is smiling because they're thinking, oh, my gosh, that's me too. And I love that. The fact you're so authentic and so vulnerable is lovely, and that's exactly how you need to be. And but not only that, for those of you who are accountability partners, please, your job is there to help and guide, but please be empathetic with your downline. They're learning and they're trying their best. And be kind. Be kind to the people who are in your team. I don't want to go too schmaltzy and say, love and cuddle them and this type of thing. But do be kind and have empathy for people, because then when they do that, they will be vulnerable and they will be authentic and they will tell you actually what's going on, and then you can help them. Fantastic. That, Heather, that is probably the best part of this week, about just how vulnerable you were there. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Very cute. Very cute. All right, so moving on.
Okay. So then there's David. I haven't been able to. I left him a message. So, but I left him a message that basically said, can you give me a call or something? I just want to discuss with you. And I'll get to him this week. That's he's on my list. I'm just being honest that we just hadn't been able to catch each other. So
that's fine.
I'm trying to see him here. Don't have my glasses on. So Dave, Brandon, he was on my list. I've got an appointment with next Saturday. I'm gonna go visit with him and his wife. His wife is a friend, and I just don't have a set time. And you told me yes, I need to make a set time, so I'm gonna work on that. I'll probably call her on the way to work tomorrow morning and just set a time for Saturday.
Let's cover that real quick, Heather. Let's cover that, because this is for those of you who are listening on the call. You know that point 6 on the invite that we do, number 1 being being in a hurry, number 2 being why you're calling, number 3 being the hook, number 4 being the purpose, number 5 being the takeaway, number 6. And if you're wondering what those are all about, listen to last week's recording. But number 6 is having a really intentional setting of the time. And what happened during the week with you and Brandon was that it was set for sometime next Saturday, and you didn't pencil it in, okay? And that's okay, and that's fine. But we had the coaching on the accountability call to say what you need to do is to take a little bit of control, because sometimes when something is left out there without a set time, it's easier for the other person to cancel. So what you did, we had some coaching, and what you did, which was perfect, was you said, look, I know we haven't set a time, but you texted her, I think, or called her, one of the two. You texted her, or you're going to, I think you said you were going to, but we're going to say, look, we haven't set a time, but I'm going to pencil in for 5:30. So you've just taken a little bit of control of that conversation. It was left open because she didn't know what she was going to be doing, and that's perfectly fine. But if you send a text, and ideally a text is the best thing to do so you don't get into another conversation or a risk of what is it. So I believe in texting the set time. I would say, listen, I was looking at my calendar for next Saturday, and it looks like 5:30 is going to be good for me. Let's keep it open, but I penciled in 5:30. It just adds a little bit more intentionality to the meeting. So for those of you that put an appointment that's out there a little bit and the time wasn't set, well, first of all, shame on you because you should have set a time. But secondly, if it didn't happen, then this is a way to re-grasp some of that control. Okay, I just wanted to grab on that for one real quick. So let's move on.
Okay. Jeff, that's Jeff and Amy. I've been playing phone tag with Amy, and so anyway, I called her again today, and I left a message, and I said, look, we've been playing phone tag, and I said, look, I've got Bible study Monday night, and I get out of there about 8, and your house is just around the corner from that, so I think I'm just going to drop by after Bible study tomorrow night, and maybe I can catch you at home because there's something I really need to show you.
Wow. Okay, way to be intentional. I love it. There's nothing. I mean, what can go wrong?
The lights off when they see me coming.
Yeah, that's a little more intentional than I would be, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's good.
And
you're taking. Go ahead,
Richard. What made me? I'll tell you what happened this weekend at the training. I can't remember who was talking and what. I remember what they said, but I don't know who said it. But it was what they said that made me decide to do it that way.
Okay.
I can't remember who one of the speakers, but they said, "Stop being so selfish. This is an opportunity that." You need to share it with people because you don't know who needs help. So, that's what I'm saying to myself. Stop being so selfish, Heather, and share this with people because if I approach it that way, then I think it makes it easier too.
No question. It's a mindset thing. Sometimes, if you go in with the mindset, if I hold on to this, I'm doing one of my good friends a disservice. Then that's very different than, gosh, I hope my friend joins my business and helps me make money. You're doing the same thing. You're showing them the business. But if you go in with that first mindset of, I've heard both Merriam-Webster and Coach Alan Johnson say that. So it could have well have been one of those two you were listening to yesterday. But, yeah, I agree 100%. I love that. And if you go in with that particular mindset and, I think that'll be great. And hey, what's the worst that can happen? If she's a church-going girl like yourself, then she'll be nothing but kind and welcoming. So awesome.
Yeah. So I thought I'm just going to show up and and see what happens. If they don't have time, I'll be like, okay, well let's make an appointment.
Perfect. I love it. But be intentional, nice and postured. I love it. Fantastic. Great job. All right. So moving on.
So Lonnie, I have not, it's just my work hours. I have not been able to get by. It's just been crazy. He's the one that I know where he works, and I know he's already an Ambit customer, and he's a business owner. So my plan is to just go by there. Obviously, I can't do it tomorrow morning because I'm going to see Jim, but probably maybe Tuesday or Wednesday morning. I'm just going to go by his shop. I know they open at 8, I believe. So.
Okay. Awesome.
Then
I agree.
Larry,
that's exactly what I would do. Good job.
So then there's Larry was the last one. I think I'm to the last, aren't I?
Mm-hmm.
So Larry is the last person. I work with his wife, and what was really great is Friday. I'm always there after work, working late. So his wife, she's upstairs. She comes through, on her way out. So we got to talking a bit, and turns out we know more people the same that we didn't even realize. So, such a small world. But anyway, we just kind of got a little bit more of a friendship going because what I really want to do is I don't know her husband that well, so I called today and left a message. I didn't get an answer, so I left a message. Hey, was talking to your friend today that and they said to say hi, and anyway, I'll see you at work tomorrow, but there's really something else I wanted to talk to you about, so give me a call when you got a minute. So, and that's my 10.
Okay, and this voicemail you left today, what was that the first one you left for her?
Yes, first voicemail.
Okay.
But we see each other every day, but I can't.
Okay.
I can't do this. I can't do this at work.
No, of course not. And yeah, it's again, we're building businesses alongside what we do at work. But if our boss is paying us money, then we need to be respectful to that, and we need to make sure that whilst we're at work, we honor that job and the fact that we're being paid a salary for it. Now, obviously, there are certain opportunities and quiet times when maybe you can make an appointment, but if you're at work and you're being paid to be at work, that is your priority. Everything we do in Ambit and everything we do in the network marketing industry is with integrity, because this industry has a bad rap because of bad companies and sometimes some bad people in it, and we have to do our part to do everything we do in our business. We do with integrity, and that includes being respectful to our job, and the people who are paying us our salary. Even if we hate it, they are paying us. We are in a contractual deal there. Respect that. Do that and work alongside that. So good for you. That's exactly what you should be doing. So let's talk a little bit more because we're getting towards the end of the call now. I would really appreciate to kind of here's one thing, and we've talked about this in the accountability call. I have noticed a massive difference in you from Monday to Friday, a difference in posture, a difference in confidence, a difference in how much you enjoy the business because of that. Now, that's just something that I've noticed. I don't know if you felt the same thing, but I'd really, for those we got a lot of people on the call, as we always do. Why don't you talk about when you put structure into your week, okay? Now, I would imagine this week's been quite structured compared to other Ambit weeks because you know, the ogre, Richard, is sitting there waiting for you to call at the end of the day. What difference has a structured week made for you? So you prepared on Sunday and you've had, on Monday through Friday, you know what you've had to do. 2 calls a day and this something. What difference has that made for you? First of all, how has this week been compared to other weeks? And tell me the reason why that has been.
Well, I mean, just knowing that you are being held accountable just makes you basically go to work and do something. And instead of, I'll work through my lunches because it's so crazy where I work, but just taking time to step away from my desk. And I mean, I called you some days. It was like 12:30 or something, and so I just said to another coworker, it's like, hey, I'm taking 30 minutes. I need you to cover my calls. And I went back to an office and just did it. If you make the appointment, then you got to follow up with it.
It's interesting. Whilst you were talking, I got a text from a senior consultant in the business, and it's senior consultant Marty Chartier. I don't know if you know him or not. He and his wife are great friends of mine. I've known him for many, many years, and he's saying, yes, her confidence seems to have grown significantly. So it's not just me who's noticing it; it's other folks who heard you last Sunday to this Sunday. So good for you, lovely. That's really good. Well done.
Yeah, I just find you just got to trudge forward is all, and just one day at a time. But I mean, I think that account. You've got to just set a date and a time. Like each night, set a time ahead of time. When you're going to make that accountability call to each other, your accountability partner. Mm-hmm. Hey, Warren. Warren's my accountability partner.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, at least you've got someone who's very capable. That's fantastic. So let me ask you this: what was your score for the week? How many calls did you make, and how many opportunities have you got to show the business?
I don't have a scoreboard here, but I showed the opportunity to other people that weren't on the list. Mm-hmm. And then there was that mistake one. Remember, Steve?
Yes.
But and I ran into an old friend that she's on my list. She was just farther down. I mean, there's so many people that. Like last Sunday when I had to grab 10 names, I just went through and grabbed 10 names that were, scoring a 12 or higher, I guess.
Right.
And
that's fine. But we had so your list was because I like to try and keep stats so that I can be when I talk about formulas for folks who are listening into the call. I'm just going to pull up the list here real quick. Where is it? Here we go. Okay. So Steve, do we have an appointment? Yes. No. Yes.
Yeah.
Pam, we have an appointment. Yes. Trixie.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Tammy.
Already done.
So Jim, not yet.
Appointment tomorrow.
Oh yes, you do. I'm sorry. Yeah. David, didn't get hold of him. Jeff.
That's when I'm going by tomorrow evening.
Okay. All right. So yes, Brandon.
Yeah.
Lonnie, not yet, and Larry was next Saturday, right?
Well, no, it's kind of we've got to still make the appointment.
Oh, okay. All right. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. So 7 show the plan opportunities out of 10. All right. Now our average is 5 out of 10. So thank you for upping the average. Heather, I told you were good. And look at that. You upped the average. That's fantastic. And again, to go back to my point earlier at the very beginning of the call, to talk to you, every single one person on this call that you can be EC in 15 to 18 months, if you just did what Heather did, you're going to do it faster. All right? I don't like platitudes. I like to say it how it is, and it's based on numbers that I've worked on for the last 2 years with these purge calls. If you make 10 calls, on average, you'll get 5 opportunities to show the plan. Heather has 7 opportunities to show the plan, so she's already ahead of the curve. But if you've made 10 calls, 5 opportunities to show the plan, every time you show the plan, 1 out of 10 times, on average, you'll have a new consultant, which means that you'll have a new consultant every 2 weeks, which means you'll have 3 consultants every 6 weeks. And again, on the business presentation that Chris Chandler's put together for us 11 years ago, he shows a chart that says 3 who get 3, 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 who get 3. That's 7 levels, and all who get 2 customers each in Texas, 3 outside Texas. If you do that, you will make $11,500 in residual income. So based on, so again, we're talking about you'll have 3 consultants in 6 weeks based on just doing what we do on the Purge Call, which then means if you extrapolate that out across RC, which is the first promotion position, to SC is the second promotion position, to EC, that works out based on those numbers, not guesswork, not magic, not mystical, pure mathematical formula. If you show up to work, you will be EC in 15 to 18 months. So everybody shush and just get on with it, because it's formula. It's formula. And the thing is, the reason why you won't do it is you don't show up to work. It's not your why. It's not your ability to invite. It's not anything. It's because you don't show up. And that's why this Purge Call is here, to help you show up. You show up to work, you get paid. You show up to school, you graduate high school. I guarantee pretty much everybody on this call graduated high school, and you hear me rant on about this every Sunday. That was hard, because you started at 8 years old and you finished at 18 years old, and you were there from 9 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon, and it got harder and harder and harder and harder and harder every year, but you all passed. And yet 85% of people in AMBIT will quit, and we don't. That makes 0 sense to me, because AMBIT is as easy as one of the easiest lessons you do at school. One lesson, let alone all of those lessons. So the trick is, you showed up to school, that's why you passed. Show up to AMBIT, that's why you'll get to EC in 15 to 18 months. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. But I get passionate about that, because what you just did, Heather, puts you ahead of the curve. If you have a week like that every week, you'll get to EC faster. And you were excited about quitting your job in 2 years. What about if you can do it in 1 year?
Yeah, I mean, and, you know, when you say that, you know, 1.5 to 2 years, and I use that now when I talk to people. It's like, you know, if you do this, you could actually quit your job in 1 to 2 years, depending on, you know, what you do with this business.
Absolutely.
And, you know, one other thing somebody said this weekend, too, that they mentioned the magazine, and, you know, the question was, how many in this room have read this magazine cover to cover? And, of course, I hadn't, but that's on my list of things to do, is to know this magazine cover to cover and to use it, you know, when I have an appointment with somebody, so I can point out, like I did I used it already with Tammy today. I pointed out these people I know in here, you know, that I've got their phone numbers, and so, and it's not just, you know, not just the people. They said, you know, read it and get to know their stories.
Mm-hmm.
So,
absolutely.
You know,
because, you know, whilst you're an MC, you know, you can't talk about making thousands of dollars. but you can point to someone who you know who has, Debbie Atkinson, who's a nurse just like you, who quit her job in 9 months and is now worth, has earned over $10 million in ambit from being a nurse, married, and her husband was a felon before he got into the business, and someone who had gone through foreclosure 3 times and was living at home as a 35-year-old with his mum and dad still, and they got to $10 million in this business. That's a story. So I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Heather, it's 8:55. Let me ask you this. Did you have a good week?
Awesome. I think it was great. You know, last week when you were, or the week before when you were asking people to you know, call in and volunteer to be your victim. So I sent the text. You know, well, once the text was gone, I couldn't stop it. Okay.
You sent the text. I'm going to grab you, girl. I'm grabbing you.
You know, it's like that was one of those 15 seconds of bravery. It's like, okay, Heather, do. So it's kind of like the same now. You know, just make that phone call. I've got this rubber band on my wrist that I hit myself with.
Nice.
to make me make those calls. But I appreciate all your time this week. It was great. And I would like to challenge my upline to volunteer to be your victim.
Ooh. and now you were really nervous about getting on this call, but are you glad you overcame that nervousness and became the victim for the week? Are you happy you did that?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't kill me. You know, it was tough, and you know, I was scared to death, but I, you know, hey, if I can do it, anybody can.
But once you were actually on the call, was it scary or was it okay?
No, I mean, we're just talking. That's all. We're just talking, and you're just being real, and that's all.
Yeah, and you've got people who are listening last week and this week who are seeing the difference in confidence in you. So no question this call I think was very valuable for you this week. But we're going to have to get, we're getting 4 minutes away from closing, and I want to make sure that we give everybody time to get onto the national call with the number one income earner, Brian McClure. I actually spent some time with him this weekend. We had a really lovely time together, Brian, Betsy, and myself. It was very nice to spend some time with him. He's got his national call at 9 o'clock. But, Heather, first of all, I'm going to say thank you very much for being my guest and victim this week. We had a lovely week. I'm going to miss you. You've got a new accountability partner, so good for you. For everybody else who's listening on the call, if you don't have an accountability partner, go get one. Remember, no one's too old for a smack bottom, and don't think I won't do it. Everybody gets – no one's too old for that. So I'm going to make sure you go out there and get an accountability partner. Heather, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being my guest this week.
Thank you, everybody.
Awesome. All right, guys, it's 8:57. The national call is coming up in a second. Let me give you the number. It's 712-432-7570. Again, 712-432-7570. The PIN is 84877#. This is the number one. Again, a lot of new people on this call, so this is a very important call to get on. It's after this one. It's the number one income earner, Brian McClure, makes a few $100,000 a month in this business, so he knows what he's talking about. It's his call. Again, the number one more time. If you're brand new, you need to get on this call. It's a little bit of time, but it's going to set your week up right. The number again, 712-432-7570. And again, the PIN is 84877#. Michelle, if you wouldn't mind hitting the mute button so everybody can say goodnight to Heather. And guys, thank you very much for getting on the call. I really appreciate it. Everybody have a good night.
Thank Heather, Richard, that was a fantastic call. Good night.
Wow.
Thank
you,
Lisa.
Thanks,
that was awesome. Peter, that was awesome. Thank
Love
you,
you, Heather Belle.
I love you, Richard.
Fantastic.
Heather and Richard, Paul Mitchell, great job, guys. Patrice is going to take your challenge.
Awesome.
Okay, I heard that.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Thank you again, Heather, and good night.
Thanks, Richard.